Well, hello, and welcome to our first quarter moon reading. I kept waiting for the sun to come up, and I was waiting and waiting and waiting. So it's 8:45, and I don't know if it's going to get much brighter. And I was going to take this down, but they told me no. So I think they just want us to kind of ease in. So let's do a little smudging. Take some deep breaths, some deep stretches if you can. We're going to welcome in the energy. I already called in our higher selves. Archangel Michael's been coming around a lot, and actually the movie Michael I started watching yesterday. We're going to talk about that. But there's just a lot of things that are happening all at once right now, and it's so overwhelming. I'm sad to report Bubba took another sad turn. She's next to me, but it's the last 24 hours have been, it hasn't even been 24 hours. It's probably been like maybe 20, maybe less. But it literally feels like it's been days because she's back to the just peeing wherever again and like destroying things, and just like it's just been like trying me on a level that I'm already feeling, the crossover from the old year to the new year. But the thing is, unfortunately, but fortunately, all the new years on the planet don't coincide. Meaning, like, we are going through a Gregorian calendar new year. I was just trying to give it more light. That's why I went that way. Oh, good. My wife's getting more light. But we still are in the lunar year of the dragon, and then we're going to be going into the year of the snake. Sherwood says hello. And so I'll put him over here. He can hang out with Bubba. So we've got that, and then, we're in Capricorn, but then we have Aquarius and Pisces, and then we'll have the beginning of the new, astrological year. So all of these endings and new beginnings give us and shed so much light on what is happening in our current world, in the outer world. I've been thinking a lot about that comment or that statement or whatever you want to call it, where they say mantra, where they say, I think they say be in it but not of it, or of it and not in it. And I've been really, kind of grappling with that back and forth, because I feel like there's a lot of ways you can look at that. So what I've deduced for myself anyway is that you can be of it, but don't be in it. And maybe that is the saying, but I kept hearing you to be in it, but not of it. And I was like, well, that doesn't make any sense, because if I'm in it, then I'm like living. That's what the third dimensional experience is living in it. But because we're in the transition of it, how can we not, right? Like, my partner and I are separated. According to him, we're never getting back together. And so I've been going through so many like transitions for myself. And then on top of that, I was sent a message from somebody from my past, and they were like, hey, I have this thing for you, and I don't know if you want it, blah blah blah. And it was just like so weird, like how, like, it's like I feel like every time I get to a point where I'm like, I've closed that door, I'm okay with it, I'm, whatever the situation is, it's like it comes back, and then it sheds light on so I've been looking for this thing and looking for this thing, because they're like, oh, I'll just send it, I'll forward it to you. And I was like, okay. And it's never arrived. And I reached out, again, and was just like, hey, and they're like, no, I sent it, and I'm like, huh, that's so interesting. I'm like, it's been weeks. Like, it just seems kind of odd that it would take that long, even over the holidays. You know what I mean? I was like, because they sent it like a week before Christmas. So anyway, so it's just, but I found myself like going to the mailbox like every day, anticipating this thing, because I'm like, I just want to deal with it and like move on, and but it's been like this, like it won't let me go. And so that's why the theme, I don't know what they're going to have me put at this point, you guys always know more than I do. I was getting ready for this and calling ourselves in and everything, and they gave me this fucking awesome title, and I was like, oh, that's so awesome. And everything in me told me to write it down, and then I didn't. So either it's going to come back around, or it's going to be something that'll be like part of like, because this is our group reading, but then I'm going to take the messages from this group reading and I'm going to do a pick a reading too, because the pick a readings off the group readings basically just give us a more in-depth experience into what we're working with. And today we're working, with the runes that Anna made out of the shells. And I'll put a link below if you haven't watched it. I'll put a link below. That was kind of like, it was like part one of this technically. I love how spirit, they don't just have me do one thing, they like have me do multiple things. And I think they have me do that because when we're learning, we're going through an experience, right? It's like when you're in school, your teachers, they give you the information, but you study the information for a little while, and then you have a test on the information, so you can see how much you've actually retained and how much you still need to, research or, look into. So I feel like with this, when they have us do these kind of things, it's like they had me pull the runes when I was on there with you guys, because now, I don't know if you noticed, but the shorts are now 3 minutes long. As of now, you can only do 1 minute with music, but you can do 3 minutes and they'll show up in the shorts, which is cool, because then that way I can do like fun little readings for you guys. So a lot is going to change. A lot is going to happen. We're going to talk about that here. But basically, I'm just sharing my personal stories with you because I feel like all of us are going through something like this. All of us. I have days where I'm like, he and I are fine. He's just in shadow. Like, he's going to work through this. We're going to work through this. We're fine. And then I have days like today where I'm like, not to whatever, but I'm like, F him. And why am I here dealing with this by myself? And I'm angry. I feel abandoned, and I'm going back to those things. And that's when I started to realize that that's why we do these lengthy things to learn, because they keep coming up because we haven't fully worked through it yet. And until we fully work through it, it'll just keep coming for us. And we've been talking about this. If you've been part of the tribe, we've been talking about this for years. If things keep coming for you, they're coming for you because they're like, you gotta do this. This is the, I'm trying to see if I can get you guys in here and get more light so you can see my eyeballs. Because it doesn't really matter, I mean, I was prepared to go incognito in the I almost said the prophet form, the podcast form. But no, I felt like we needed to be here today. Also, I have, or I should say, they had me bring a bunch of crystals in today too. But yeah, so I feel like we're all at different levels of, our challenges right now. We're all just at different levels of it. And for myself, I'm like, there's like a part of me that's absolutely totally okay with like what he's doing, because I know that's what he needs to do. But then like the other side of me that's stuck in this, feels like this shithole fucking third dimensional, existence. I'm angry because, I know it's not his, you know what I mean? Like, let's put it this way. I feel like on some of the podcasts, it's almost it's like my wah, wah. It's like sometimes it's just whatever. Sometimes I'm crying. But earlier I was crying and I wanted to start this, and I got this vibe that they were like, no, it's just for you. It's like a tool, like crying is just a tool for us to release the pain and the suffering that we're going through. And it's okay to say, I'm not okay. You know, I say, welcome, warriors, light workers, star seeds, soul family, star family. There's so many different levels of consciousness that are here at this time. And so, you know, earlier I feel like Bubba and I are like, one minute it's like, I love you so much, man, you're awesome, we're like best friends, and the next minute I'm like, please die, please die. And it's not because I don't love her, and it's not, it's just that, it's just my nerves are shot. Like I'm taking care of this place. Living off grid is so strenuous on my mind, body, and soul every single day. um I have been blessed with, it's been really rainy, but at least it hasn't been really cold. And so that has been a huge blessing, like a massive blessing. Um, because by now I'd probably be batshit crazy. But I'm noticing how I'm being tested, and then because it's like I feel like Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde, because one minute I'm super calm, I'm grounded, all is well. The next minute it's like she's doing some other thing, and I'm like, no, dude, no. I'm like, no, no. You know, because I feel like there's unconditional love. Like, of course I love her. Of course she loves me. But for some reason, I'm like, I'm a telepathic medium, yet there are some beings that I cannot read their mind. And that's okay. I'm those are the people that I'm excited to hang around, because I'm like, cool. You're like so grounded and whatever, like there's nothing, you're not hiding anything, you're not feeling insecure about yourself, like, because what I found is like the people who aren't trying to hide anything, people who are, you know what I mean, like, it's like myself, it's like I'm an open book. you know One of the podcasts, I deleted the comment because it just got really mean, but on that last podcast I did, some person, which I don't think was a subscriber, because my numbers didn't change in the time that, like, you know what I mean, like, so I don't know if they just found it, through a tag or something like that. But they were like, you should seek counsel. You're so all over the place. You need medication. Like, they're like, seriously, I think these people just feel sorry for you, and that they don't and somebody needs to tell you, like, that you need help or whatever. And I was like, I literally how I knew I was like, that test I passed, because I literally was like, oh my god. And I laughed, like, and not in like a like, haha, I'm crazy. I laughed like, oh my gosh, like, that's somebody who genuinely thinks that they're helping me, and genuinely is like, because I, a lot of the times I listen to things back, and sometimes, yes, I know I go off topic or I take forever or whatever. That's just my style. That's who I am. But also, that's why I call it Lula's, used to call it Lula's Labyrinth, because my brain is like, I'm in so many dimensions at one time that, and especially right now, like, I called in all of our higher selves and all the higher beings, like the nine, that, you know what I mean? Like, I always say, like, who's ever meant to be here kind of thing. So I'm like, but this was a muggle for sure. Just the way they wrote things, just the way it was. And I was just like, dude, you're not even, I don't know how you got here, you know? Um, but look at, we're talking about it now, and it made me realize, so either they are one of us, but they just aren't awake yet, and maybe that was like a little planting of the seed, or, it was just somebody brought in like a random, whatever, to have this conversation. But it made me realize, like, it's about energy and aligning with certain energy and people. And I feel like my channel, this channel, our channel, because it's not just my channel, I feel like it's our channel, especially when I do these group readings, like this, these are for all of us. And you know we are the warriors, so we have to go through everything first. So it's easy for someone to judge me from the outside and say, you know, blah, 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 or you sound ungrounded, or, you know, and I'm like, no, I sound passionate. I sound exhausted. I sound like a fucking warrior, you know, because what we do is not easy. And then on top of that, we have to find a way to work through our own shit. And that's what I said to her today. I was like, you know, I've been saying to her since she started this pattern again, because she hasn't done this. Like, she started doing it in November, thought I got a hold of it, you know, and then she kind of started doing it again for like a minute in December, but then like I worked things out and everything was fine. Now it's like, I mean, she's bones and she's eating a lot, but she's barely moving. I could barely get her to go outside. Our 13th anniversary together is in February, and I told her, I said, you know what, you don't have to stay. Like, I know I joked and said to her, you know, like, oh, you're gonna stay until February, you know, 13 years together. But I mean, she's clearly not well, and she will not let me take her to the vet. Um, and I can tell because when I say to her, you need to go outside, Spirit says you need to go outside right now, she lets me pick her up. And she lets me pick her up like a baby, like cradle her, which she never lets me do. Her back, she's, you know, you guys know Baba, like she is her own fucking animal. It's like she's my familiar. She's an entity. You know, she's very sentient. So, and she'll go outside and she loves it. She loves it. And I leave the door open, and when she's ready, you know, sometimes Spirit has me keep the door closed because they're like, no, she needs more fresh air, and she doesn't complain or scratch on the door. She knows. Um, but like when I go to talk about the vet, like we got a carrier and everything, and I was like, why did we get a carrier for her if we're not gonna take her to the vet? Like, I don't understand. We just got a new carrier for her, and long story short, I don't think it's to take her to the vet. She's been showing me that she wants to be buried in the mountains, far away from here. Um, you know, and at first I didn't understand. And then I understood what she was saying because she wants to be so far away. Oh, I'm starting to cry. We have a lot of big animals around here. And she kind of showed me a visual of like, you know, she's like, imagine you bury me, and then like a few days later you see me go by in like a coyote's mouth or something. And I was like, oh god, yeah. Even though the circle of life, like I would understand it, I don't think I need to see that, right? That's like, I don't need to go to a wake. I don't like going to wakes. I know they're dead. I don't need to go look at their dead carcass, you know what I mean? Like it, so, and I feel like for her, like she wants to be laid to rest. Like she wants us to have like a funeral for her, like in the mountains, like Alder and I. So I was like, oh my god, that's what it's for. So that's really interesting. Because I was like, do you want a Viking burial? Like, I'm like, I'll put you on a, like, I'll build you a thing and fucking set you on fire and put you down the river. Like, what do you want me to do, you know? And she was like, no, I want to be buried. So I guess she does want her, because I'm like, there barely has any meat on her at all. But, you know, maybe her organs, I don't know. Because I'm like, when she dies, I don't think they'd want to eat her. But I don't know. It's what she wants. It's what she wants. And she gave me a very clear, there's like a few different places, but I feel like Alder's supposed to choose where we're going to take her. But anyway, so it's just been this very heavy emotional. And as you know, a lot of you guys know, like, you know, my mom passed. And I only say that because not everybody watches all my videos. And I feel like I've been saying it more just because I've had a few people are like, oh my God, dude, I didn't know your mom died. And I was like, yeah, I'm like, because I'm the type of person that when something big happens in my life, I send a mass message out to my closest people and just say like, hey, this happened. And I didn't tell people when Alder left because I really thought it was going to be just for a short time. And then I didn't tell people, you know, I didn't put out a mass, you know, I only messaged a few people just to tell them, you know, like, we're not getting back together, at least not anytime soon. And I didn't message, you know, with my mom because it just, I tried many times, but it just felt so weird. It felt weird sending a death announcement for my mother that I hadn't even really talked to in years, you know. So this whole process it's like, and I'm just one person, so I can only imagine, you know, like what everybody's going through right now. And I keep reminding myself that I'm blessed, even on the days that I don't feel very blessed. I just, you know, I say I love my life. I know how blessed I am, and I am, you know. But it seems the more I'm being loving to myself, the more I'm whatever. Like, I've been having voices come into my head that I haven't heard in years. Old demons that I thought were long gone, but they're apparently there because I would never say the things to myself that this inner voice has been saying to me. That's been trying to disguise itself as my higher self. So be mindful right now. It's like a fucking witch hunt for our souls. And they're not playing small. That's why all this crazy shit is happening. That's why, you know, I said to you, I don't know if you guys saw, if they call me to, I'll put a link below, but they had me put this little message from the universe, and in the thing at the bottom, the Spirit had me write, like, they're not drones. Because they're telling everybody that they're drones. But they're not drones. This is like Independence Day, except for they're the good guys. They're coming to fucking help humanity. But the dark forces that are here that have taken on, you know, you can say reptilian, you can whatever. I mean, it could be anything, you know. I mean, look at Lucifer. I mean, Lucifer is considered a dark angel, but you know, I've worked with Lucifer quite a bit, and I mean, if it wasn't for Lucifer, I don't think I would have been able to handle my shadow the way that I did. You know what I mean? Like, Lucifer is quite magical and magnificent, and you know, that's why they rival him to Michael, because it's like Michael's the protector of like love and light, and you know, and protects us against, you know, certain things, most things actually. But that's that. But then when you look at the, you know, opposite of that with Lucifer was the one that was like, this shit is wrong. Like, I don't understand like what's happening here. And you know, he was the one that kind of spoke truth. He was the black sheep. I saw this thing recently that said the black sheep of the family are the truth serum of the family. That's why they're disliked so much, right? We're the mirrors. We're the people that are put up in front of our friends, our family, our kids, our bosses, you name it. You know, even our animals, you know. Like I said to her, I was like, you can... I said, you are one of the most powerful witches. I'm like, I release you. You know, like I even said to Spirit, I'm like, we're allowed to, you know, cut and tether things. It's like, I don't want her to stay like this, miserable, or me miserable with her. Like, why would we want to stay in this misery? We're not learning lessons from this. I mean, maybe we are, and that's an arrogant ego human thing to say, but because obviously we are. But what I'm seeing is the Groundhog Day of it, where even when I'm nice to her, it's like my nerves get frayed because I'm fucking human. And if I don't get so much sleep, you know, I mean, when I'm afraid to sleep in my own house, like terrified. I barely slept last night. I was like sleeping with one eye open because if I felt her, you know, and it's like my body was on high alert, because if she crawls onto the bed, I don't trust her. Spirit just had me change her food again. What made her start peeing was she's always liked to have food out. Always. Whenever I take her kibble away, it's like crack. Like, because she has the healthiest kibble she can have, you know. I mean, it really is. It's all good stuff. And Bubba has eaten better than Alder and I for years. Even when, I mean, he and I eat as good as we can, but like, she fucking eats better than the both of us, you know. So I couldn't give her any better food unless I was giving her raw. And I wanted to go to raw, and they said no, like that's not like her thing, you know. Thank God. But this thing that's been going on with, this is why I don't like wearing my overalls here. They're so comfortable. They did tell me to change. It's my fault. But I was comfortable. I'm always comfortable, but then when I sit, I'm not comfortable, because the more I move around, the more it's like, you know. Anyway, I digress. So it's happening with her too. She's angry. The world is angry right now because they can't get the things that they want. I mean, the reason why I feel like we don't have anything to concern ourselves about is there is such a thing as treason. And when you have somebody who, and I'm talking about, an American, where I'm going with this, if you've been following the political handover and everything, but when the richest man in the world says on social media that he owns, that he is going to punish those who don't do his bidding, hello? It's like, that is oligarchy. It's like, Trump's like, oh, I'm not a Nazi. I'm like, yeah, but maybe Musk is. You know what I mean? Like, it's like these people, they are living in this like, and Nazis to me is just a broad term for somebody who wants to control and is, wants things to be a certain, I mean, it's like, that's psychotic. Like, you're not well. You're not well if you want to control a planet. You're not well if you want to control a planet. Do you know what I'm saying? I'm like, this motherfucker needs to be arrested. And I'm like, why is everyone sitting back? And it's because everyone's afraid. Because we've been ruled by money for so long. And it's like chess. And he's like, checkmate, motherfuckers. So the only way you take down something like that is to, go to war. So I don't know what's going to happen. It's going to be a very interesting time. But I don't want you to be in fear. That's what's been happening with me, is that I've been having these things of fear. I'm not afraid for her to die. My fear is that she's going to pee on my blanket and like, because again, I washed everything in the house and I was so grateful. It was 2 weeks ago tomorrow. I washed everything in the house. It was on Christmas Eve. And she's already gone through so much stuff that I'm like, it's just, and a lot of it has just been in like the last 24 hours. And the things that she went through are things that are like her comforts that she needs. So I'm like, well, the joke's on you, Bob, because you just fucking peed all over your only, like, that's it. Like, those are your 2 blankets. Like, that's what and I'm like, you did that. So now I have no more blankets to give you. And I have my throw blanket and I have my bed blanket. And so it's like, I don't want her coming on the bed to pee on me because I had to take her food away. Spirit told me to take her. She was having a really rough time again. Her body's just, her body can't produce whatever it is to have certain bowels and all these things, right? So it's like she's angry that her body is shutting down. She's angry. And so she's taking it out on me. And I was like, you know what? That's not cool. I'm like, I'm here to take care of you, love you, and support you to the fucking end, man. I will hold your hand. I will hold your puke bucket. I will clean your pee, but not when it's intentional. The intentional, it's like, because you're angry. I'm like, well, what do you want me to do with this stuff? Because as you guys know, cat urine turns to ammonia, and it's so awful. And so yesterday is when she started doing the peeing, and then she did it again all last night. Well, you know what? We've been all these rainstorms. You know what we're in now? A drought until Thursday. She did this last time. And it's like, what the fuck? You know what I mean? Where I'm like, I can't just like put them out on the line and let the rain, I put lavender water on them, but that's not enough. And I live in a tiny home. I don't have like space to put things. So they have to stay outside until I get to the laundromat next, which whenever Alder shows up, whenever he, so it's like all of a sudden I started to realize, I'm like, I am not a victim. Yet I feel like I'm being victimized, if that makes any sense. And so I'm like, I'm not a victim, but I'm also like not a fucking doormat. And I feel like we're in this fine line between, I think that's what that sentence was. It's like we're in this fine line of being a victim and a doormat. You know what? Fuck it. I'm just going to let it go. I'm just going to let it go. Because in that way I don't have to think about it. I'm like, just going to let it go. I didn't even brush my hair. I don't care. So there's just all of these things that are happening. They're happening for us, but they're happening to us, but they're happening for us. And the thing with Alder and I that's been so difficult is last year when, or I should say the last few years, he starts making his brew at winter. Totally cool. Like, that's his thing. But last year I said to him, I go, I guess we can't go with the time, you're going with your own flow or your own pace or whatever. But he doesn't check in. At least I don't feel like he does. I shouldn't speak for him, and I probably shouldn't be telling his business, but I don't think he would care because he's trying to figure out a way to get it to the masses. So, but he makes a very legal psychedelic brew, and it's made with all legal things. And it really helps people with their healing process, mostly men. He's been working with mostly divine masculine. I don't know if he's had any women. We've only had one of our tribe members who did his ayahuasca form, but it's not really, but it is. It's hard to explain. And I'm kind of saying all these things this way because people like to start shit, you know what I mean? And I'm like, everything is legal. It's just where we live, it's legal anyway. So anyway, I said to him, I'm like, when you do this brew, you're not really meant to do anything else. And that's the vibe that I got. So when he told me that he had started his, so we were really struggling. Then we were back in the black and we were doing good. And then all the money dropped off again. And, here we are. It's like down to the minute again where I'm like, okay, it's the 6th. We haven't paid rent yet. We still need this. We still need that. I'm almost out of lotion. I'm almost out of cooking oil. I mean, the food bank opens in 2 days, but I'm like, Bubba has enough food for tomorrow and that's it. And you know what I mean? And it's just like, what the fuck? And I've been putting feelers out there to work, and, I've been, I'm like, bring work to me, bring readings to me, whatever's meant to be kind of thing. And it's just been, and then this morning when I was like dealing with her and I was crying and like just all this stuff that was happening, because the other thing too is her nails, she's not like taking care of herself. So like where her food is, she's got to like, kind of jump to it. And so I have to put this pad thing down, but her nails get stuck in it. And so it's just been like right before I started this, she knocked her water over, you know what I mean? And it's that kind of thing, you know what I mean? Where it's like nonstop all day. She's like, the only time it's peaceful is when she's sleeping, which she doesn't sleep very long because she's uncomfortable and she's miserable. So she sleeps for like maybe 40 minutes or something, and then she's up again. And because she doesn't have her kibble to go and graze when she wants to, she's getting mad at me. And that's what's happening right now. She's like totally taking it out on me because she can only eat in small increments, and her diet has changed and her diet placement has changed. So it's like I'm back to like where I'm nursing a baby, where if I don't feed her every 4 or 5 hours, like she will come and pee on me, or she'll pee somewhere else, or she'll poop on me, or she'll do something. It's very aggressive. And I was so angry with her this morning. I was just like, it's just not fucking cool. I'm like, this isn't how you treat people you love. I'm like, I'm not the one that's doing this to you. I'm like, your higher self is telling me what to feed you because your body is shutting down. And so I'm like, what do you want me to do? So it's like between that and then Alder starting the brew, I'm like, well, yeah. So sometimes it could take weeks. And his focus is supposed to be on that. And I said to Spirit, I'm like, I'm happy to be the breadwinner. I'm happy to make the money. I'm like, just bring me the work. I'm like, bring me the work. So I'm putting the word out to you guys too. And I am feeling this something, there's something that's changing in my inner world, my outer world. And it's bizarre because I'm like, I can be present with you guys and be here, but then I'm like, I'm in other places, and when I'm like sleeping, I'm in other. And so it's like when I get to this point where like I'm working when I'm sleeping, I'm working when I'm awake, I'm dealing with her, and inadvertently I'm dealing with him because we're still tethered together. You know, I said this to him. I go, we were, I mean, I checked in with him the whole entire time that we were apart. I checked in with him, and every time I went to like go my own way, he would be like, you know, I'd say, I feel like we're meant to, you know, work through this together and be a team. And I'm like, but if you don't, you know, whatever. And he'd be like, no, no, I'm going to come back or whatever. And then it's like, and then when he decided to whatever was when I was already like in here, you know, and then I tried to get that job. That didn't work out. I tried to get the job in town because once I told him I was a telepathic medium and he wanted me to read for him, all of a sudden it was like I was ghosted, which doesn't surprise me because a lot of people, when they find out I'm a telepathic medium, um, especially those who understand what that means, it's very intimidating because they're like afraid of being exposed in some way. So that tells me that I wasn't meant to be there anyway. And it doesn't necessarily mean that they're a bad person or they're doing anything shady. It could just mean that they've got some insecurity or something that they know I'll see through. And maybe because I was so like, you know, in the interview, I was just like, you know, myself, that they know I like wouldn't put up with that shit. And so I'm like, no, you can't do that. You can't pull the wool over my eyes, dude. Sorry. I'm like, that ain't gonna fucking happen. Cause I was like, no, it's just really immature the way it was handled. And I was just like, you know, it's fine. Everything happens for a reason. I had a feeling I was there to for that anyway. So it's all good, man. It's all good. But it's just like right now, I mean, because he and I aren't communicating and we're not a team. And what I feel anyway, this is what my intuition tells me. So either I'm stuck in some third dimensional fantasy of a relationship with this person or I'm right. But I feel that he and I are meant to be together and that he has gone so far off the map that he has absolutely convinced himself that that is his life and that is who he is. And I don't know if he'll ever like veer back this way, but I'm like, Bubba and I are struggling and suffering because of the choices that he's making. So are we victims? No. I've been looking for jobs. I'm like, I don't give a fuck. I'm a warrior. I can do it. I can do it. And then this morning when this happened with her, I was like, no, this is why it's his time to work right now, because I do believe she's on her way out. I don't think she's going to make it much longer. And the little sparks of like whatever, I think are just like, you know, glimpses of like her. But it's frustrating because he's on his path, I'm on mine, and she's on hers. But we're all tethered together. So we're obviously here to learn from each other, teach each other, grow, you know what I mean? Like we're all here for a reason. There's, you know, obviously, but there are certain things that needed to get done with this house. And my husband, my sweetheart, my love, my best friend would never let us live like this. And that alone should tell him, should show him who he is. But I don't know how to put that mirror. When I've tried to put the mirror up, he runs away. So the last time we hung out, it was actually really nice. So nice that I was like, would you like a hug? And he's like, sure. And it was nice. And I was like, okay, so, you know, it's like I can't stone him to death to come back here. Just like I can't stone her to death to die. You know, all I'm here to do is like hold space for them. But today I said to Spirit, I'm like, I am fucking human though. I'm human. I'm human. I can only hold so much space. You know, they need to do their whatever. So it's so interesting. And I realized what has happened too is that he's gone far deep into this very like, it's like 1 minute I'm talking about like Bubba's life or death, and then next minute he's like showing me like what he's made so far or whatever, and I'm just like, wow, you are so fucking detached, man. Like I'm like, I mean, yes, it's awesome, but it was in a way like, look at me, look at what I made, be proud of me. Oh, that was me, my ankles cracking. And I was like, wow, that was like a really old version of him. Like I haven't seen him like that in a while. Because I've seen him where he's like, oh, look, check this out, and it's like whatever. But this was more like, like he's literally driving and turning a corner and trying to open the thing to show me. Like, you can't wait 2 more minutes to park the car and like show me, or like I go into the store and come out and you show me. I mean, it was so surreal. Um, and that's where I'm saying, where I'm like, I feel like watching all of this unfold. My mom had said to me one time that the 50s are hands down the hardest. And Jodie Foster said the same thing. And she's been saying it a lot. That when she turned 60, she's like, I swear it's like a switch flipped or something. She's like, I just started to like really take ownership of myself and my life and, whatever. And I realized, I'm like, I'm 53 and he's 52. And I thought to myself, oh, I cannot go through this for fucking another decade. Like I literally would rather be alone. I genuinely, I'm like, I know how to have orgasms. I don't need to, you know what I mean? Like, I was just like, I'm good. I'm really genuinely good. However, I do believe that he and I are meant to, because when we're together, we're like, dun, 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 Wonder Woman, or Wonder Twin powers activate, Like, no fucking joke. We really are. I said to him, I go, have you noticed that she took a nosedive when you left? She was starting to go, I could tell, because she wasn't, herself, and I could see that she wasn't jumping as much, and we started getting her on bone broth and things like that, because if you guys have ever watched, I mean, Bubba runs, and it was like all of a sudden it was like bam, it just like caught up with her. It was like almost like overnight. But it was with her, she had 2 heavy moltings, and then it was like she was like going into her crown full on, and then it's just like, this is where we are. But yeah, it's just been this very intense, all I can do is watch. And so if you're going through that too, you're not alone. And I do have to put these back up just because my back it's like it's kind of bunched up in my back and it's hurting me. I need to shift positions. Anyway, so that's what's going on with me, and I can only imagine what you guys are going through and what changes your family, and but when the snake comes in, they're going to be there for a reason, to help us shed that old life and that old world. And that's what I'm hoping. I kind of feel like the next several weeks are going to be really telling for a lot of us. So the song that kept playing in my head this morning was Memory by Elaine Paige. And it's, I know a lot of people think it's Memories, but I'm like, no, Memories is like memories, like the corners of my mind, misty watercolor memories, like the way we were, from Big, when he's like, his mom's like, what did I used to sing to you? And anyway, if you haven't seen Big with Tom Hanks, it's really good. Okay, so this is Memory, all alone in the moonlight, right? Like, it's like that. It's from Cats. So I think it was written in like the 70s. But these are the words, and this is what Spirit wanted us to say. So here are 2 things that are going to start happening on the channel. 1, I'm going back to doing moon readings. I wanted to do something on the new moon. I was actually really frustrated because I had all these plans and stuff, and I was like, what the fuck, man? Like, I was really mad. And they were like, no. And they're like, you're gonna, because I thought it's so close to, it was the new month, new year, new moon. I was like, why wouldn't I do a new everything? And they're like, because it was in 2024. This is actually technically the first moon, next moon cycle, next major moon cycle. Because for those of you who know, when I was doing the moon readings, I would do 8 a month, and I would go through the whole cycle, right? So from the waxing, the full, the waning, and the whole thing. sorry, I keep doing that. I forget. You know when you don't wear something forever and then you wear it and you're like, why don't I wear this very often? And now I remember it has a tag, but it's one of those that was like, I have to take my thread thing to get it off because it's like embroidered in, but it fucking scratches me. It makes me cuckoo. I love the shirt. It's super comfortable. But anyway, so if you see me doing that, that's why. But it made sense that today is the first quarter moon. In real time, it's January 6th, 2025. And now we were saying, you know, for all of 2024, we were in an 8 year, in the year of the dragon, which dragons, the 8 is their number, infinity, all that. So now we're in a 9 year. Okay. So it's going to be fun too, because we're going to have a lot of like fun 13 days. We did that with the 8 too, because 8 and 5 is 13 and 9 and 4 is 13. So the way that these will go, it'll be interesting, you know. So last year when 2024 came out to an 8, you know, if you add up the numbers, it's like, you know, whatever day, let's just say it was like 12 to 24 was actually a 13 day, right? Because 12 is 3, the second is 2 is 5, and so is 13. And those really make a difference because it's the divine feminine coming in, but then it's also the balance. It's about reminding us to bring the balance back in. So in real time, like I said, it's the first quarter moon, and in the first quarter moon energy, it's about taking action. So whatever you put out into the universe over the new moon, you know, it's not too late. It's never too late to put anything out, but that new moon was really powerful because of all of the news, right? It was a new year, a new moon, a new month. That's a lot of like, it's like a triple threat, you know, new beginning. However, it's also kind of like stretching over a Gregorian calendar year, and we're going into the new lunar year, which is really what it's the moon cycles, on the 29th. So I thought somebody had told me it was the 25th, and I kept telling everybody it was the 25th, so I apologize. It's actually the 29th, and it's going to be the new moon in Aquarius. And Aquarius is like one of my favorite signs because they're so cool and dreamy and fun and mysterious and creative, and there's just so much cool stuff. And I feel like the full moon in Cancer before we switch over is going to be really powerful too, because Cancer is one of the most sensitive signs. I love me some Cancers. I do, man, because they're, you know what, now that the lighting's like this, I wonder if I can go, because I was starting to hurt my back. Yay! Oh good, that's so much better. I was like turned like this. Owie. It's like I stretch every single day, but it doesn't matter. I'm still 53 and I live in the Pacific Northwest where it's wet and damp, and you know, and that's why I think also why Bubba is having such a hard time. We do have enough electric that we can run the oil heater, and I keep it, you know, next to her. But like right now I have the propane heater over here too, because, you know, I mean, I'm in a tin can, for crying out loud. I need to find out what this bird is. There's this bird that started coming here that I've never seen before, and now it just flew in. And there's 2 of them together. I don't know. I'm going to have to research it. It's a Pacific Northwest bird. But anyway, the robin birds came in today too, so work with the robin bird. Okay, I'm going to put this back a little bit. For the year, since I feel like, even though, like I said, like we have the new moon, I feel like this is the time to take action. So I'll find out what that bird is and we'll work with that as well. But the robin birds were all over this morning. So I feel like, you know, and I call them the Jesus bird, you know, because they say that they were the bird that was picking the thorns out of Jesus when he was on the cross, if that story is true. Okay, so it's going to be the year of the snake is the 29th. So that's a really big day. Let me see, 9, 10, 11, 12. So 9 and 9 is 18, 19, 20. So that's going to be a 3-day. Interesting. I wonder what number is associated with the snake. I know we're going to get to memory, but I feel like I want to look that up right now. Oh, and then they had me bring this up. I don't know who this is for or what this is for, but they had me bring this up. And it says, Revolutionary Uranus walks into Gemini from July 7th to November 7th of 2025, manifesting bold plans for society and unexpected personal alliances as well. Mercury retrograde occurs 3 times in 2025. Oh, this is what I wanted to tell you guys. Yeah. From March 15th to April 7th in Aries and Pisces. From July 18th to August 11th in Leo. And from November 9th to the 29th. Oh, from November 9th to November 29th in Sagittarius and Scorpio. Okay, so when they're talking about this, they're talking about the energies, but they're also talking about the moons, I believe, right? If I'm wrong, please, from my astrologers, please correct me. But I feel like that's what they're saying. So on this new moon in Aquarius, we're going to also, like, I feel like this is our real new moon, you know? This last new moon, I was like, I was just spouting out anything. I was like, I was like, I want to write music with Taylor Swift. I'm like, I want to blah, 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 blah. I'm like, you name it. I was like putting it out there into the universe. I'm like, hey, before I leave this avatar, before I die, I want to do this. I want to meet this person. I want to make a movie. I want to finish my book. I was just like putting it all out there for the year and was like throwing it out like, you know, like throwing the spaghetti on the wall, whatever sticks. But I'm putting it out there that I'm like, that's my intention for this year to make those things happen. So even if it's like I'm laying the foundation for those things to happen, it's about putting it out there and being very mindful of your words and your thoughts and like what you really want and who you really are. Not an old version of yourself, but who you are now. Okay, so and I'm going to write those. I'm going to put those. There's other things on here too that I want to put on my calendar. So when we have the full moon in Cancer, it's on the 13th, which is on a moon day. It's a week from today. So we'll be doing something for that. I don't know what, but we'll be doing something for that. So I'm just going to be doing 4 readings a month for the new, the first, the full, and the third. Okay. And I don't know if it's going to be group readings and a pick a reading every time. You know what I mean? You know how I go, how I roll. It's like I do what spirit tells me. I go in the way of the warrior. It's my job, you know, to be a medium, and that's my life purpose here. But Lula's Labyrinth is where I have fun and silly and acting out things or working through things. They're also having me post, by the way, they had me post a kitchen confessional. I have a lot of videos that I've done on there that I've never posted, and I just thought whatever, but they're having me like bring stuff up because even though the timeline might not like align like with where we are, the messages are for somebody. So always check out, you know, all of my channels. I don't think we're going to post anymore for Bubba. I asked Spirit if they wanted me to close the channel. They said no. But they told me I will post there again. So I don't know if it'll be like, you know, when she passes, you know, whatever. I'm letting her, you know, decide, you know, how she wants to do this. You know, I'm doing my best to do it on her terms. It has not been easy. You know, like, let's put it this way. I hear myself, like, I know I sound like a total jerk, but at the same time, you're not here, you know, like and for all the mothers out there or caregivers out there who are like taking care of somebody, my hat is off to you because it is one of the hardest jobs in the world. But I'll tell you, I have taken care of Alder twice in our relationship. He's taken care of me at least twice in our relationship, like, you know, hardcore, where like we couldn't care for ourselves and like had to have somebody help us for long periods of time. So, you know, I'm like, I'm happy to help someone, but I'm like, I won't let someone just terrorize my existence. And, you know, Bubba can be a bully. Alder can be a bully. I can be a bully. We all can be bullies. But in the mainstream, I do my best to be a kind, loving, patient, as good of a human being as I can. I really do try. But when I feel like I'm being taken advantage of and I'm being pushed and my boundaries are being, you know, pushed, it's like I try to, you know, and that's what I realized with him. I was so frustrated because, you know, I'm like, well, that's nice that you're like taking care of yourself and you're whatever, but I'm like, you have no fucking idea what my life is like here every day. I had a situation the other day that I didn't even realize was happening. This mold that had started growing in this one area by the sink. I didn't even see it, or it was fine. Like, you know, it's like mold grows really fast, especially in this kind of environment. So one of the main things that Spirit said to us was like, we had to get rid of like the bathroom area and the rug and all that. And he just left it. And when he was leaving the other day, I forgot to have him clean drain the poop tank, And I thought, oh, fuck it. I'll just, I could have, he was close enough that I could have had him turn around and come back. It was like 5 minutes, or not even. It was like, not long, because he left and then I went to go to the bathroom. Then I was like, oh shit, I forgot to have him do that. So I could have texted him and he could have turned around, but I was like, oh, I'll probably see him in a few days. I'm like, it's fine. But it's not fine. It's actually been really bad because the water that I thought, oh, I'll be smart and I'll use the water, because we never ran the pipes. So I'm literally like, when I wash anything, it's going into a bucket. I have to dump the bucket. So I've been dumping the bucket, some outside, some into, the toilet. We bought a compost toilet, but I mean, there's nowhere for me to put it. So it's kind of like a moot point, right now. Just sitting there. I'm like, that's the thing that's driving me crazy too, because I can't control it, right? Is like, I'm like, I can't pay my rent, but like, there's like all of these like building supplies and like things that like we paid for that are just sitting there doing nothing while I'm like sitting in this like fucking horrible situation where I'm fighting mold every day, fighting a toxic environment, and then dealing with my best friend who's dying, and then him coming and going and like dealing with him when he's here and like never knowing how he's going to be and whatever. I mean, it's just been too much. I mean, I've met the point where I was just like, just give me a place where I don't have to see him. I don't have to answer to him. I don't, have to, I don't need anything from him, because I think that that's what's happening too, is that, it's almost like we're either going through this together and really doing it together, or it's like we're weighing each other down because we're living separately. So we're paying for two separate like lives, where before it's like, I would make dinners for us. I would, blah, 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 blah. And like, now it's like, it's my food, it's his food. It's like, he's living on his own, I'm living on my own. We have to get water for me. You know what I mean? It's like, so everything's like double. Of course he would be doing that. I'm just saying that, he wouldn't be driving around and living in his car, you know what I mean, and spending so much more on gas, and just there's just like all these things that like, if he were here, we would work on these things together. Like the next 4 days are going to be really nice and no rain. We could bust this out, the two of us, easy. But there's no one there, and we have no money. Like, what if we needed to buy a part of something? Last time I saw him, we had $8. So I was like, it's fucking crazy. It's just, there's like all these things where I'm like, am I just not listening to something, or am I at the end of something, or have I tethered myself to someone and their you know what I mean? It just feels like such a head fuck that even when I'm grounded, it's like, I just, every day I'm like, I love my life, and I mean it, and I'm just like, I'm like, Father, we're gonna get through this, and but there's only so much of this until I'm like, like, where I just am fucking a human being, and I'm, there's only so much I can do. I was watching the movie Michael with, John Travolta, where he's Archangel Michael and he's living in his human form, and, he talks about how you want to say hi? You want to say hi to everybody? I know you can't really see her too well. He says, I can't give too much of my power, because if I do, he's like that, like every time he like uses his gifts or whatever, like he's like a video game, right? Like he loses points, he loses people. Like he's like, I only get so many lives or so many experiences or whatever. That's where I left it off last anyway. And so, that's kind of like how I'm feeling right now, is like, how much more can I give? But I'm still on my channels every day. I'm still creating every day and posting every day. And, the days I don't post, which are few and far between these days, I'm just so tired. I could barely, do anything. So anyway, I think this new moon in Aquarius and the year of the snake is going to be super powerful for all of us, because it's going to be such a massive, we're going to have such an overturn. It's going to be really interesting. And isn't it interesting that if it's true that like, the dark forces are reptilian or whatever, it's like, it's the year of the snake. So that's interesting. Yeah, so we'll have the full moon in Cancer, and it's going to be super emotional, so just be prepared for that. And it's going to be on a moon day on the 13th, so I don't know what will happen with that. And then on the 21st, it's a third quarter moon, but it's a 13 day because it's a 13 day the day before the full moon too, right? Because it's the 12th. So it's 1 is January, 12 is 3, so 1 and 3 is 4, and it's a 9 year, so it's 13. And then the next day will be 14, will be 5, it'll be change and transformation. So it'll be time to release all that old shit. I feel like we'll really be releasing 2024, you know what I mean? I feel like, excuse me, January to me always feels like the purging month. Like that's when we like purge everything from the year before and then we start anew. Sometimes the new year doesn't happen until February. It sometimes could be as late as March, I believe. I think I remember it being like in the first week of March. Because I remember it being around the cherry blossoms, and that's like kind of like a huge like blessing, you know, because the Chinese are, you know, the cherry blossoms and everything. That so it's going to be really, really powerful. Okay. So, but interesting that on the 21st, it's a 13 day, because again, you know, the 12th, it's mirrored, it's the 21st, but it's also the Aquarius. We're going into the Aquarius energy. So a lot's going to change, a lot's going to change. And even though they call them the water bringers, it is an air sign, and an air comes in to blow away all that bullshit, right? Smudge yourself, smudge your home. If it's windy, go outside, smudge yourself. Like it's really important right now to keep those energies away from us and at bay. Okay. So I'm going to be doing those readings on those days. And my other really cool thing that is going to happen, I didn't understand, but Spirit kept throwing Tyler Henry shit in my face. Like, I mean, in my face, where I'm just like, okay, I know who Tyler Henry is. I love him. He's amazing. I mean, so gifted. One of the most gifted mediums I've ever watched. And I'm watching episode after episode, and some of them I'm like, I've seen this one. What are you trying to tell me? Then last night, I was watching this reading because I feel like there's been this missing piece that I haven't been able to put together. Oh, when I looked up, it was 101, like, and it was about to turn to 2. So anyway, to 102. So, but I just saw the angels. Anyway, I just saw like this whole angel thing come for me in a most beautiful way. But then I was watching this reading and I was like, I feel like I'm missing something. I'm like, there's like a missing piece. I want to do something different with my channel. I mean, the podcasts are kind of new, but like, I'm like, I feel like I want to do something very, very different. And then I watched this reading, and while I was watching the reading, all the Tyler Henry episodes came to me, and I was like, oh my gosh. So a new thing that, I don't know what you'd call it, a new theme for the channel, new episodes, are going to be medium, the magical medium. So it'll be me doing a reading for someone and then putting it out here. But it's not just to get a reading. Like if you want a reading with me, that's one thing. Actually, let's put it this way. Because I'm a telepathic medium, even when I'm doing, hi birds, even when I'm doing readings, I'm still like connected to the dead. Do you know what I'm saying? So, but Tyler Henry doesn't like pull out cards and things like that. So I love the picker readings. I love that side of me. I love doing this. I love, I'm, going to show you the runes, and we're going to, get the meanings and definitions just in a few minutes here. But what they want is, if you would like to contact or speak with, or if it doesn't even need to be like a specific person, if you just feel like you are meant to speak with someone on the other side or in another dimension or whatever it is, and you don't feel like you can do that, or you don't feel grounded enough to do that, whatever, we all have different gifts, so there's no judgment, if you would like to do that on my channel, it's free. And I have a feeling this is going to be a way, because like, if you guys have noticed, in real time, before I started this, there were 997 subscribers. So even when the 3 more come on and we go across the finish line to 1,000, they come and go for a minute. So it's, I'll feel more comfortable when there's like 1,100, you know what I mean? Or even like, whatever. Because the numbers change all the time on my channels. People come, people go. People like one thing you do, then they subscribe to you in a very, oh, I like this person. And then like they see what you're really about and then they unsubscribe, It happens to me all the time. Some people subscribe when they want to put in comments and then they unsubscribe, because they don't want to see me in their feed or whatever all the time, whatever. It's to each his own. So, but you have to have 1,000 solid subscribers and I forget how many hours watched, 4,000 or something like that. And they don't include shorts, which I think are really messed up, especially going into the 3-minute shorts, because those are like giving mini readings. So why wouldn't those be counted? That kind of frustrates me a little bit. But since I've been on YouTube for years, it has changed and evolved so much. Just in the last year, it's a change. It's a change. It's changed and evolved so much because they're trying to. It's like they extrapolate like all different things from things that are working from social media. Then they bring it in, and that's why we're bringing more people to YouTube, because it's not just Instagram. It's not just, TikTok. It's kind of like a combination of everything. You've got your community where you can, post things, just writing or post pictures, and then you've got, or links to things. And then, you've got the shorts and then you have the full length videos. So it's really it's like having all of them, which is why Spirit had me get off all the other social medias over the last few years and build my network here. And, interesting. I saw strength. I have this tattooed on me actually in 2 different places with 2 different things. So that's interesting. But as the channel grows, then I will be able to get more sponsorship and I will get a cut of like YouTube and the commercials and things like that. So Alder and I pay to be commercial free. The commercials make me insane. They're way too frequent. I don't know how you guys watch my stuff and keep going. You're fucking warriors. But to me, it's worth the money. It's totally worth the money. It's only $11.99 a person. To me, that's worth $12 a month to not have, because you can watch anything. You can watch, YouTube has free movies and they have, like, this month there's so many good free movies. In January, they do this in January and July, probably because it's like they're like the times where like people are home a lot in January, and July people are like on vacation a lot. So I think that's the way that they kind of pull people in, and then they do like what we do, where now we pay, Alder and I together, or I don't know how much it is. We pay, I think, $22.99 for the 2 of us, but that's up to 5 accounts. So you can even split it with somebody. Like, they're really cool about it. They don't know that you don't live in the same house. They don't care. It's like, it's up to 5 people. So we have up to 5 people for $22.99. There just happens to be 2 of us. But it's totally worth it to us. So we look at it as like, it's, $11, $12 a person, and I don't have to deal with commercials, and I can listen to, music, channeling, readings, whatever. Totally worth it to me. People pay, $5 a day for a fucking, Starbucks or something. I'm like, treat yourself and, go commercial free. And they also have a lot of really good documentaries. There's so many things on YouTube that that's just me. That's just me, but I highly suggest it. But anyway, so what they want me to do is, they want me to do one. I thought they wanted me to go live or something and like have people come on like Tyler Henry. And then they were like, no. Like, where put your name below, or you can email me. My email is magicalmedium@gmail.com. And it's in the, when you click on the top where it says welcome witches, healers, and deep down believers and magic, underneath there, it has all my links, for all my stuff, whether you want to donate money, whether you want to donate decks, whether you want to book a session with me, and all that stuff is there. And please share my information, because I'm not angry with him. I'm happy to make money. It's just, I'm like, when it's not coming my way and I'm doing everything that I feel like I'm meant to do, that's when I know, like, whether he likes it or not. You know what I mean? Like, that's what we signed up for. So I've tried to untether myself. Like, I've done all these things where I'm just like cut him loose. Like, you know, I'm like, I said, I'll put something up around town. I live in a cute little town where I'm sure if I put up a sign and, you know, it was like, hey, I'm, you know, blah, blah, blah. And they're like, no. I met this really cool woman at the co-op the other day. And as I was coming in, I was thinking that I really need to put a sign up here. And then she said, you should put a sign up here. I'm like, yes. I'm like, everybody always says that. And then when I go to do it, I get this like huge thing from Spirit where they're like, no, 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 no. So I don't know if it's just not time yet or whatever. But anyway, I also feel like I have a hard time asking for help, and I have a hard time putting myself out there. And I've been been in hermit mode for years now, you guys know, just because it is difficult, you know, doing what I do and being in and of the world. Sometimes when you're in and of it, it is just overwhelming. But when I'm on my own, I'm not in it really. I'm just kind of it. I'm just the observer. I'm just like, you know, I'm totally fine. But then when I'm like, okay, I'm the one that has to deal with our landlord. I'm the one that has to deal with, like, you know, because he's in this place where like he just doesn't want to deal with anything. And I'm in the like, well, somebody has to be the adult. Like, somebody has to be the adult. And he's like, well, I'm making the money. I'm like, well, okay, that's a very old, archaic. That's like that was like kind of the energy I got too, where I was starting to get frustrated because I know that the patriarchal energy is like, he's part of it. It's part of his, you know, he needs to work through that, you know. He's in his 50s. He grew up in that, and he's got his stuff to work through. But I'm in the place where I'm like, well, yes, but she has to eat. We have to eat. I mean, blessed be, we're surrounded by food banks, so that's amazing. But they don't have a food bank for animals. And I know I could probably, you know, put out something, but anyway, I digress. And let's put it this way. Spirit always provides. Like, every time we need something, stuff shows up. Things show up. So it's like there's that side of me too, is like, I don't want to put it out there like that and this lack consciousness or whatever. I'm just trying to tell you that this is what's happening on the planet right now. So if you're surrounded by people who are in a different mindset, consciousness, you know, whatever, be prepared that this is the way it is right now. And you need to make your life as peaceful as possible. I've already pulled the ones that we're going to use, and the 2 of them came out easy, but the other 2 didn't. Ooh, wealth. Nice. So, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to do old school. I have to be gentle with these, though, because they're shells, and even though they're strong shells, I don't want them to crack and break. Oh, look, I have this on my nose. Oh, sorry. You know what that's from? That's from yesterday when she started the peeing thing again. And I don't know what time it was that she had done it again. And I had to move stuff again to where I'm like, I'm not putting anything up there. And, you know, I'm like, you're just going to, it's like a slippery, hard surface. And she can't really, like, it's just, anyway. But I was so angry with her. And I went to do something. And I was like, fuck, Baba. And I was just like, and I hit this thing, and it flipped up and smacked me right in the fucking face and cracked my nose open. Yeah, that hurts. And I was like seeing stars, man. I felt like a cartoon with the birds going around my face. I was like, I mean, it hit me hard and it hit me fast. And I was like, holy shit. And I'm actually lucky because it could have been a lot worse. But that's when I realized, I was like, you know what? I am getting angry with her and yelling at her isn't really doing anything. Like when Alder was really sick and came out of the hospital, that time when Sarah kicked us out because she's like, you can't handle this. I can't have this energy here. Ugh, that was so horrible. That's what I mean. I feel like, I'm like, what is there to save? I get what he's saying. Like, in his mind, he's like, what is there to save? You know, we've been through such hard times, but then I look at all the good stuff too, you know? Okay, so I told myself I'm going to let these go out, and whatever is up is what we're meant to work with. So, oh my gosh. Torch. Oh, here's Birch. That's one I was looking for. Burkana. Wealth. Oh, I saw that one earlier, so that's good. Unknown. You. Y-E-W. Message. Heritage, which makes me think of the ancestors. Lake. Ooh, which means we should get near water. Horse. Now, these are all, like, I will put these in the description box and in the community section. Fertility, destiny, victory, harvest, needs, and joy. Wow, that's a lot. That is a lot, you guys. That is a lot. So it could be too that we're going to use these. So I'm going to be doing those readings. And then after this, not today, because I have stuff I have to do to take care of Bubba and it's going to take me hours to do. So I'm going to do a pick a reading after this, but I'll link them together. So keep, subscribe, like, comment, all that good stuff. So keep your eyes out for that. And I feel like these are going to be in that, but I'm going to still take pictures of them and see if they want me to do any type of reading with them. You know what I'm saying? With the picker readings. So I'm going to leave those out. Ironically, the ones that were chosen for us for this reading are the words are on the inside, but the other ones, the words are on the outside. So I know I said I was going to start the song like whatever, and that's probably why that person who didn't know me was like, oh my God, you're all over the place. I am, but it's because there's so many things that need to be said, and I'm going through my own stuff too, and so I'm trying to explain and extrapolate, I love that word, the information and squeeze it all out so that we can really see it for what it is. And there's always a reason for it. So maybe you needed to hear those words, maybe like, don't make it your story if it's not your story, but like if you heard a word and you're like, oh my gosh, something's going on with my horse, or oh, we just went to the lake and we had a fight, you know what I mean? Like, like whatever it is you need to work on, or whatever it is you need to take action on, right? So here are the words to that song, Memory. Memory, turn your face to the moonlight. Let your memory lead you. Open up, enter in. If you find there the meaning of what happiness is, then a new life will begin. Memory, all alone in the moonlight. So interesting how the first one was memory, turn your face to the moonlight. Then the second paragraph is memory, all alone in the moonlight. I can smile at the old days. I was beautiful then. I remember the time I knew what happiness was. Let the memory live again. So in the first paragraph, they're saying, turn your face to the moonlight, let your memory lead you, open up and enter into those memories. And if you find there the meaning of what happiness is, then a new life will begin, right? So like if you can look at the memories and be happy with them, but then turn away and like start over and move forward, then a new life will begin. So then the second paragraph, she's saying you're all alone in the moonlight, like you've left that behind, right? Like whatever that person, place, or thing is, you've left that behind. Now you're all alone. Now maybe it's the next moon cycle. You went through all that. You did all the change. Oh, I've got the shivers. Then they're saying all alone in the moonlight. I can smile at the old days. I was beautiful then. I remember the time I knew what happiness was. Let that memory live again. So they're saying, like, instead of being in the shadow of a dark memory, go to the light of the memory so that you can recreate it again. I kind of felt like that with Bubba, because I had this moment where it hit me, like really hit me, that she was never going to look like her again. Like never. She started to fluff out. I thought she was coming back. I honestly did. I felt like, okay, she's just going through a phase. Like, it's all fine. Like, she's just, something's going on. She's fighting something, whatever. No. When she started this again, I was like, no, I feel like it's just like I said before. It's like when someone's dying and they have their good days and their bad days. She just had a lot of good days and now she's not having such a good time right now. So I started to cry hysterically because I realized that she's never going to be her again. Like that form of her. She's never going to be that fluffy, that big, that heavy. I'm never going to feel that. I mean, she used to sleep with me. She used to climb on me for, almost 13 years. And now I'm like, I'm terrified. Even like the second she crawls on the bed, I don't want her. I want her here because I want to cuddle her. I want to hold her, but I don't want her here because I'm like, no, I don't want to have to sleep in layered clothes again and not, you know what I mean, and have to wait for him to come take me to the laundromat. And I'm like, how the fuck? And all I have been trying to figure out is, how did I get here again? Did I not see the signs? Did I avoid the signs? I mean, the thing is, I saw that he didn't want to be here. I wanted him here. There was a part of him that wanted to be here. But the part of him that is the strongest part of him right now is the part of him that does not want me around, does not, I mean, I had to like ask him to come in and like be with her. He doesn't say like, can I come in and be with her? I have to say like, I'm like, I don't know when her last day will be her last. So I'm like, every time you come here, you may want to spend just 5 minutes giving her a pet. You know, I'm like, because my concern that I feel is that he's going to wake up out of this and he's going to, you know, like, do you remember that scene? If you've ever seen Steel Magnolias, it's the best scene because I feel like we all go through this. I feel like I went through this today too, where they're in the beauty shop and they're getting Shelby ready for her wedding. If you've seen the movie, you know where I'm going with this. And Dolly Parton, Truvy, you know, she's doing Shelby's hair, Julia Roberts' character. Sally Field is, you know, her mom, Julia Roberts' mom. And you have Olympia Dukakis is, you know, their friend. And, you know, I mean, I can go to all the characters, whatever, but there's all these women and they're in a beauty salon and they're getting ready for her wedding. And they're talking about her because she has, you know, I forget what she has now, but she has a situation where, does she have diabetes? I don't remember. It doesn't matter. But she has a condition where, you know, she can't get worked up. Yeah, because she needs insulin. So there's this part where they're all talking about her and she's sitting in the chair and she's just like dealing with it. But the anxiety and the stress starts building. And the more the anxiety and stress builds, the more she starts to have an attack on the inside, and then it like happens on the outside. And so she starts to drop and she starts to have an attack, and she's like, you know, ripping her hair out, like she just finished, you know, her hair and it's all beautiful. And then all of a sudden she just like starts going nuts and she's like, you know, and then when it's all over, you know, they get her the juice, they help her, you know, through it. And they're like, wow, this one hit her fast. And she's like, yeah, well, it's all the stress of the wedding. And, you know, the doctors say she, you know, can't have children. And, you know, he wants children. She's afraid he's going to, you know, divorce her or not marry her. Like all this crazy stuff. And it was just like so intense. It's so much energy and all, so much to process. And then she's like, don't talk about me like I'm not here. And then she like tells everybody, oh, it's starting to make me cry. That scene is so sad, right? Because she's just like, you know, she's like, she just has this moment where she's like, she realizes her limitations and she's afraid he won't love her for her limitations. And then when everything is calm, she apologizes, you know, to Dolly Parton, to Truvy, her character, and she's like, oh, I'm so sorry. You just made my hair so pretty. I just fucked it up. You spent all that time. She's like, I'm so sorry. And she's like, that's okay. We'll fix it. You know, she's like, don't worry about it. You know, she's like, you're the bride. The wedding ain't starting without you. Like, don't worry about it. Like, don't worry about it. And, you know, that's kind of what I'm concerned is going to happen, is that he's going to have a moment where he's going to like wake up out of this shadow and he's gonna be like, I'm so sorry I did this to you guys, like I'm so sorry I left you like this. And because I know he wouldn't do this to us, that's how I know too that he's in shadow. Isn't it funny how our bodies react? Look how red my nose is getting. Our bodies react to trauma, to anxiety, depression. You know, they say depression is living in the past and anxiety is living in the future, which is why they say to live in the moment. But as we're all trying to live so desperately in the moment right now, the moments are changing so rapidly that it's been difficult to keep up with. So it's like, I'm not angry at him for being where he's meant to be in his process, but I'm frustrated because I'm like, am I really this strong? Which is ironic because this is the only one that I put over here, strength, right? So I feel like, that's what it is right now. It's like, are we the victim, or are we, you know, I heard the prosecutor. That's interesting. Right? Like, so am I going to be the judge, jury, executioner? It's like, am I going to be the prosecutor in this situation with her and him? It's like, or I just keep going. So that's where I feel like I've been tested. There are these days where I'm just like, how much more can I fucking take? And I don't want anymore. And when I say I can't, then I have to switch my dialogue, because I know that when you say can't, the spirit will keep showing you what you can do. So I'm going to take a picture of these runes, and I'm going to put them in the community section. And then I'm going to take a picture with them on one side with the shell, which is the rune symbol, and then the other side, which will have the word on the inside. Okay, so then you can work with these runes and research them more in-depthly on your own. I found this really cool woman, Vervain in the Roses, I think is her. I'll put the link below. I put it on the other one too, the other video that kind of sparked this whole reading that I did on New Year's Eve. And like I said, you have to remember that these energies are crossing over, and we need to work through them. I was all excited to do this reading, and then she started acting up again, and she peed again, and I was like, dude, no, come on. Like, and then right before I started this, she knocked the water over, and I was like, what is going on? What is going on? But I was in a heavy energy, and so I feel like she was like trying to show me that, even though I want to go in the way I want to go, it's like it really is still divine timing. So the next part of the song says, burnt out ends of smoky days, this stale cold smell of morning. A street lamp dies, another night is over, and another day is dawning. And then it says, daylight, I must wait for the sunrise. I must think of a new life, and I mustn't give in. When the dawn comes, tonight will be a memory too, and a new day will begin. Sunlight through the trees, in summer, endless masquerading, like a flower as the dawn is breaking, the memory is fading. Touch me, it's so easy to leave me. All alone with the memory of my days in the sun. If you touch me, you'll understand what happiness is. Look, a new day has begun. I had a moment with Bubba the other day where I said, that was our last summer together, wasn't it? And I was really sad because I thought we would have done more together, because we're on 5 acres, and the area that we are, it's very grassy and pretty, lots of trees and flowers and bushes and stuff, and but like the other side is like really fun. It's like a field, and there's like a little pond, and I thought Bubba is gonna love this place. I'm like, this place is gonna be so awesome. But she never went that far with me. And then I realized, yeah, it's like when we lived at Sarah's. Sarah was on 10 acres, but she only went in like around our houses and by the one pasture that was closest to the house and the orchard. She didn't go in the far pastures out with the horses like the other like 5 acres. Like she didn't go out there. But I thought this would be fun for her, and then I realized, I'm like, because she didn't feel safe there. It's like there's like tall grass, and we have a lot of coyotes and cougars and bears and stuff around here. So she's not stupid. Like, she just didn't feel safe. But I was like, there's this one area that I loved. It kind of became my own little sanctuary, but I kept trying to get her to come with me, and she would never go further than the driveway. And I was like, cross the driveway, like cross. It was like a river. Like she was like a barrier. She just wouldn't go. And I was like, okay, maybe she just thought she couldn't run back fast enough. Maybe, I don't know. But I'm like, dude, I'm here. Like, I'm like, I will chase a coyote away. Like, you'll be fine. But I'm still glad that we had what we had. And maybe you're going through something like this too. Maybe you're like at the end of something with somebody. But what they're trying to say is like, the memories are beautiful, but we can't live in the memory, and we can't, like, this really may be it for me and Alder. I mean, if we are really twin flames don't stay together their entire lifetimes. They learn from each other, they grow, but they don't always like stay together. I forgot there was lavender in here. They don't always, so there's a very good chance that he will stay stuck in this. But the one thing that has been really hard for me is that he told me when he was leaving, like, he's like, don't let me get lost in the shadow. Like, he said that to me. And so when I've brought it up to him, it's like it's gone. So that's why I stopped pushing, because I'm like, you know what, if I push him, it's going to be worse. So I just need to like pull back and let him. So I just got to get through this alone and with Bubba. I mean, I have you guys, of course, not alone, but and Spirit is with me and our guides are with us. It's just been so overwhelming. There's so much to do in this house on a daily basis that it's just been really hard. And I started making tinctures again, and like, cooking and that kind of stuff. So, every day it's like doing the chores, and, it's just become so daunting in the winter. It just is so much more difficult. My poor nose. It's just so, it's literally like twice as hard. But I'm not a victim. It may feel like I'm saying I'm one, but I'm not. And that's where, when I get upset, I have to just, and with Bubba, like, I kissed her afterwards, and I felt like Julia Roberts in that too, because I'm like, I'm so sorry I yelled at you, because I know she's in pain and I know she's suffering, but I'm also like, stop being so bratty. Like, like, it's like I've put up with, that's the thing too, is I've put up with her being a brat. I've let her bully me since the beginning, because she used to really, really hurt me. I have scars on my body, like, where, somebody would be like, where's that from? I'm like, oh, that was my cat. That was my cat trying to take her to the vet, which is why she hasn't been to the vet in 7 years, and why we treat her holistically. And, when he came in here the other day, I was like, can you please give her some energy? I'm like, she really, really, really needs it. Like, she really needs it. And he was like, okay. So he worked on her a little bit, but it was intense. So I'll put the lyrics to this as well in there, and you can work on that. And if you ever hear it, it's like, it's so heavy, because at the end she's like, touch me, it's so easy to leave me. Like, she's really up there, right? All alone with the memory of my days in the sun. It's such a melancholy, and it's funny that it's about cats. And like Bubba, it's like, I mean, this may be her last reading with us. I don't know. I mean, I've never ever said to my animal, please die. Like, I mean, and I didn't say it to her like, in a mean way. I was like, I said to Spirit, I'm like, whatever karma, whatever. I mean, if that's her, like, that's whatever. But I'm like, this, am I meant to be tortured in the process as well? Because I could just let her pee on me again and go through that, or, because I've asked her several times. I've asked the pendulum. I've gotten calm and even asked my deck. I've got yes and no in there, and it's kind of like she doesn't want to die there. So I understand that. I was like, do you want me to get something that I can give you? I mean, it sounds awful, but I could put something in her bone broth that would put her, down. But I don't want to do that. I'm like, I feel like this is her thing. Since I've known her, she is so strong. I'm like, I really genuinely feel like this is her thing. And I must have, in my soul contract, agreed to it. But I said to her today, I'm like, I can't imagine in my soul contract that I agreed to deal with all of this and you on top of it, because like today I have to do this thing to help her, but then I have to attack that mold situation before it gets out of control, and that could take me hours sometimes, because it's a whole process. I have to take the whole fucking thing apart. I have to take the whole kitchen apart basically to get back there, and it's a huge fucking process, especially because when we were bringing the sink in, one of the legs broke. He had to, because it's like one of those like what do they call them? Like plastic, like utility sink. And it's on metal legs, but like our old landlord fucking broke it and didn't own up to it. We knew, I'm like, who else did it? I'm like, I bought it. I'm like, I literally got it from this organic farm, and they used it to wash the fruit. The stains in it were from fruit. There was no stinky smells. It was so clean. I mean, it was almost in mint condition. I paid for it. And I got a good price for it, but I paid for it. And then we put it in the cabin. And I told Alder, I'm like, I feel like we should move it, because he started using it. Like, he was just throwing stuff in there. And I was like, dude, don't put your chemicals in there. I'm like, I told you I got that specifically from an organic. Like, he just didn't listen. He didn't give a fuck. He just didn't give a fuck. So many red flags. I talked about that in the kitchen confessional in Lula's Labyrinth. If you go and watch it, it's from like almost 2 years ago. And I'm like, trust me, there were moments where I'm like, why didn't I? My gut told me to leave. Why was I still there? Lessons. Karma. Karma, chameleon. Oh, I digress. But anyway, so it was cracked, and it was, and then the day that he came to bring it in was like the only day it had gotten super cold, and it was so cold, and it just like cracked in the cold when we were bringing it in. I'm like, motherfucker. So he glued it with like Gorilla Glue, but still, I mean, it's a sink and it holds dishes and heavy stuff and all that. So it's like a whole ordeal. Everything I do, it takes such a long time. When you're in a tiny home, it's actually really difficult to keep it clean, because, you can't just like wipe it clean or dust or whatever. You're coming in, you're coming out. It's like my front door is literally like right there. You know what I mean? So I don't have a mud room. I don't have, I take my shoes off there. It's like my coats are there, So even that, it's like, that's not a door. Whoever built this, I don't know why they would do that. They didn't put a door there. It's an RV, but they didn't put a door there. It's just a window. So, of course, it would be much easier to clean Bubba's stuff if I didn't have to, but like I have to crawl over her to get to her, because this is where she decided, well, she first decided she wanted to pee on the dashboard. I'm like, I don't know why she started peeing there, but she did. And then we started putting pee pads there. And I was like, okay, well, and then that was really successful for a really long time, until we had this massive storm, and out of nowhere, after having this beast for over 2 years, the windshield started leaking. So I'm like, well, you can't go in there anymore. So I had to clean all that, and I, did vinegar and all this stuff to, clean it and whatever. So it took me forever to like get her to find somewhere that she can go to the bathroom where she felt comfortable. Well, the only place she likes is down there, but it's not easy to get to. And then I noticed that mold was growing there, and I was like, oh my God, we've never had mold in this place like we've had. So I knew it though. I feel like Spirit has been trying to tell us, like, you need to pull the rest of the rug out. You need to pull it, because we pulled almost all the rug out, except for right up here in this area where she is, and right in front of the hallway and the bathroom and the kitchen. Everything else has been gutted. It's like 3/4 of it has been, gutted, but that part has not. So hold on. I gotta see what she's doing. Hold on 1 second. Okay, I thought she was gonna pee again. But that's what I'm saying. It's like that kind of like, oh my God. If you've ever dealt with a person who is ill or dying, like, what I'm talking about. And it doesn't make you a monster. I mean, all day long I take care of her. All day long I take care of her. All day long. It's an all day long event. Now it's just gotten doubled, because she can't just graze. Now I have to feed her every few hours, or she'll, if she doesn't get her food in a certain amount of time, she'll pee, or, whatever. I don't want to get into that anymore. We're done. You've heard it all. But anyway, so there's just so much that has to be done, and I cannot do it myself. I don't have the strength. I mean, a lot of this is like, I'd have to rip out walls and the carpet. Like, I tried doing it myself. I got to a certain point, but I can't. And he's like, oh, you need a crowbar. And then he misplaced the crowbar. I'm like, what are you talking about? He's like, I don't know. He's like, it was there, now it's not there. I'm like, you're a mobile mechanic. How do you not have a crowbar in your car? Like, I don't understand. I'm like, but or I think he has one and he's like, but I have to keep it. And I was like, well, then let me like come in and do the car. You know what I mean? It's like every time I've asked him to come and help me, it's just like he doesn't want to be here. Anytime he's in here for a lot, like more than like 20 minutes, he gets so antsy and uncomfortable. I'm like, yeah, because this place is like prayed up. I've got fucking crystals and stones everywhere. I'm like smudging and all that. He's not doing that shit. He's like living in his truck with his chemicals from his car shit and, you know, like living in his little, like, he's like in his own little world. Too much. So, I'm sorry. I don't want to bring my shit on you guys. I'm working through it. So, I want to read you the explanations for these runes that I took from this individual that I told you about. I think her name's Vervain. I'm almost positive. Hold on. Okay, here it is. So it's in the community section. It'll say, welcome 2025, Blessed New Year Tribe. And it'll look something like this. And it has the pictures of the runes on there. Okay. And so I'm going to be doing a picker reading for these. I'm going to be doing 3 separate readings for that. So stay tuned for that. So here are the rune meanings. So the sun is what they call Saulu. So her... yeah, it's Vervain and the Roses. So I'll put a link to it. These definitions come from this person, and they come from the old. These are the old Viking. I forget the traditional name for them, but these are like the original meanings. So sun, whichever way you look at it. Sawulu is success, sunlight, light, illumination, clarity, guidance, and strength. Then we have Burkana, which is also birch. Nourishment, nurture, motherhood, breasts of the earth mother. Provision, health, fertility, and earth mother. And then we have Isa, which is ice. And it's stillness, stagnation, solidarity, unchangingness, fidelity, ego, individuality, frozen, difficulty, challenge, and obstacle. So I think it's interesting that we have sun and ice, because I think of ice and the moon, because like the moon is like night, like cold, and I think of sun as like warmth and light, right? So it's interesting that we have like one extreme to the other, and then in the middle we have the nourishment, the Burkana. And when I was reading the breast, because I wasn't going to put it twice, I'm like, breasts of the earth mother, it's kind of the same thing. They're like, no, it's really not though. They're like, so when they're saying the breasts of the earth mother, it's, I mean, yes, of course you can look at it as literal, as like breastfeeding, breast milk, whatever. But I also felt like I was cutting into my yam the other day. And you know how like there's like that white that comes out of it? It almost looks like milk. It's like I took that as to meaning like the breast of the earth mother. So like eating like rooted vegetables, like to really get yourself grounded this winter, like eat like, you know, everybody's diets are different, but I'm getting this kind of like really taking care of ourselves, whether you're in the northern or southern hemisphere, and you're because it's also like light and shadow, right? Like when we're in the northern hemisphere in winter, it's colder. Even though the sun's getting closer to solstice and we're gaining 2 minutes each day, we're still in like this morning, like I wake up at 6:30, it's dark until 7:45, you know what I mean? And it's like we're waking up in the dark, we're going to bed in the dark, we're waking up in the dark. We're in the northern hemisphere, it's like it's light, you know. Some people who go to bed early are waking, you know, going to bed and it's still kind of light out, and they're waking up in the morning and it's light out, you know. It's like wherever you are, wherever you're living on whichever hemisphere. But I like the duality of the sun and the ice. I feel like it's giving us, so we've got sun, success, light, clarity, illumination. Like, because like when we're in light, right, it's kind of like, it also kind of comes back to, what's my favorite, one of my favorite decks, it'll come to me. The archetype decks, right, where we talk about that, right? It's like it's almost like these runes are showing us like they're like the archetypes. So we have the archetype of the sun, which is light, illumination, creativity, strength, right? Guidance. We're doing the guidance now, like, you know, getting the clarity that we need so we can have the success. Anytime I've ever run into an obstacle with my finances, I know that it's something that I'm not seeing or something that I'm not understanding. When they showed me the Tyler Henry thing, I totally got it. And that's why I was like, yeah, that makes sense, because then I will give, you know what I mean? Like, I will do that for the show, right? Like, it's like a show on my channel. It's like a show, The Magical Medium, but that's the show where I, read people, like read for people who are like people who have crossed over, or maybe they need a message from spirit, but it's not necessarily a reading where it's like I can do my true mediumship. Before I started using divination tools like this, I literally would just like get my notepad and meditate with spirit, and I would write down, I would connect with the person and I would write down all the information. And then when I would do their session, I would say, this is what came through this male figure named Jeff, and they would be like, holy shit, like, how do you know that? And I'm like, because they came through. So those are the ones that people really like too. I think that helps people to get more clarity. I was watching the Tyler Henry episode with Whitney Port, and just her being there with her family, just how much, it made me realize that Spirit gave me this gift for a reason. And I love helping people find that peace and that closure to, shut those doors from the past. So maybe, you're someone who really wants to speak with someone from the other side, or you need to hear messages from the other side. So if you would like that, it is of no cost to you. We will just have to, you would just have to read my agreement and, sign off on it. It's no big deal. It's just a spiritual guidelines. I send it to everybody I do a session with. That way, it tells you, to make sure that you're in a quiet environment. And, there's just like a whole slew of things, that you're not drunk when you're on the phone with me. You know what I mean? Because when we're connecting with the other side, I want you to be as clean as possible, especially just like the Brokana with the nourishment, like making sure that, you're eating healthy even like 24 hours before. We just get a better channel. I'm going to channel it no matter what, but it's when they come in, it can be really heavy for those of you who are natural channels or mediums. And if you found yourself here, most likely you are. So it could even be that it's not even that you need to speak with a crossed over loved one. It could be that you need to speak with the Nine or the Arcturians, or, something like that, where you need more of a direct message. And I feel like those would be not just like good TV, like Tyler Henry, you know what I mean? But also I feel like people need that right now. People need that. Not everybody's where I am, and I have to keep remembering that and take that into consideration. Even with Alder, he may be one of the most powerful shamans I've ever met, but wherever he is right now, that's not him. Even when I had heard from this person that I hadn't talked to in years, they called him Ed. They know his name is Alder. And I thought it was so fucking interesting, because they're also an intuitive. I was like, they kept calling him Ed. And I was like, Alder. I'm like, what is going on? He hasn't been Ed in like 4.5 years or something. So I thought that was really, really interesting. So if you'd like to, you can comment below and say me. You can message me right away, and I'm going to take them in the order that they came in, and also and the order of importance, because it could be that like maybe for some of you, yes, you need to talk to someone, but like for some of you, like it's a timeline thing, like, right, so I always take them in the order that they come. So please, if you're willing to put yourself out there, you don't have to pay for it. That's your exchange of energy, is letting it go onto the channel. And then that way I feel like our channel will grow, and I feel like that's a new way for it to grow and make money. Because when I hear these people who are monetized and they're literally just talking, which is fine. We're learning something from them, or maybe they're putting their makeup on or whatever. It's like, but I'm thinking, I'm doing all of this spirit work that drains me sometimes, I'm doing so much, and I'm dealing with her and my partner, and, because even though he and I are separated and in his mind we're divorced or whatever, it's like, the thing that sucks is no matter what he thinks or feels right now, we're still tethered together. I've tried to untether us. He's tried to untether us. So we signed on for this, you know what I mean? And I don't know if it's just for another few months. I don't know if it's just until we help each other move on. But I feel like he's going to find his way out of this, and I'm going to find my way out of my thing, and we're going to come back together. That is my hope. That is what I hope for. That is my prayer. But I also am not ignorant to the fact that, like in that song Memory, like, sometimes it's like something is really done. You can get back together with somebody 1,000 times, but then sometimes it is really, really done. And it doesn't take a death of the other person for it to be done. So, and maybe that's a message for you as well. So I just think it's interesting. And then we have the opposite of like I don't know if I'm saying it right, because it's Sawulu, but I don't know if it's pronounced that way. But on the opposite of the sun, success, sunlight, light, illumination, clarity, guidance, and strength, we have stillness, which is winter, right? To get still. But we're in a stagnation when we're in winter, right? Like, I don't want to be cleaning this fucking shit and dealing with this shit right now. I don't want to be dealing with that. I want to be playing with you guys and playing with spirit and helping her through her transition. The last thing I want to be doing is dealing with this stuff that was supposed to be dealt with. Both of us were meant to do this months ago. And every year that we've been together, every time we get to a certain point, he just jumps fucking ship. And I said to Spirit, I am happy to let him go. Why the fuck would I want somebody in my orbit that when the going gets tough, they jump ship? And then I realized that that was my whole life. I was a runner too. When the going got tough, I jumped ship. I'm sure my siblings, my family probably fucking hate me. They probably think I'm a devil that, my mom got sick and, and I wasn't there. But I'm like, I was going through a separation from my husband that was supposed to be a 2-week thing that, has been now several months, 6 months or whatever. I've been dealing with Bubba. I actually wanted to. Every time I started to book my trip back to see my mom. In fact, I was going to wait till it was booked and then tell my mom because I didn't know where she was in her process. And I wanted to make sure that everything was good so I could be like, hey, I'm coming at this time. Is that okay? And every time something would happen with Bubba or him or something. And then next thing I know, boom, she was gone. Just like that. I found out in the beginning of June she was ill. Well, I knew she was ill, but I found out like for sure. I had sensed it the whole year before. I felt her dying, but and I felt her wanting to die. I felt her pulling away, like she was done with this planet, like she was done with this shit, like she was done. But I did not think she was going to go that fast. I really thought like I was going to help Bubba and Alder. And then I even said like to Alder, I'm like, will you stay here and take care of her? And he was like, yeah. I'm like, okay. But then I just got this horrible feeling like if I left, she was going to die. And so I said to Spirit, is that what's supposed to happen? Am I supposed to be with her? And then I felt like it was like Sophie's choice. I either had to go home and take care of my mom or take care of Bubba. And I had to ask myself, do I want to take care of someone who's been with me every day for almost 13 years through the hardest chapters of my life? Or do I want to go be with someone who did take really good care of me, was a good mom in a lot of ways, but also in the last several years was so horrible to me? And why, you know what I mean? Like, I was just like this, it just didn't feel right. I didn't feel like, and also our belief systems were so different. Why would I want to go sit with someone who's a diehard Christian, who doesn't believe in what I believe in, thinks I'm the devil, like, you know what I mean? Like, and then be with her church people while they're all around her. I mean, I could have handled it. No biggie. It's not that, but I just was like, at the same time, I would still want to be me. I'd want to have my crystals and my things and all that. And I don't know how my mom would feel about that. And, so I feel like whether my family believes this or not, I gave my mom a gift because she got to leave this earth with all the people around her who loved her and supported her. I loved her and supported her to a degree. I loved her unconditionally, but I wasn't going to support and be treated the way I was treated and be talked to the way I was talked to. And just Kelly would not refuse to call me Tallulah, refuse to call me Lula. I was just like, I'm like, so I should go through and torture myself for my mom who gave me no, whatever. Even that, I said, I'm happy to do it. And Spirit was like, no. So I was not meant to be there. What is going on here? I keep looking at, I must have a knot or something. So, sometimes we're just not meant to be there. As hard as that is it's like, and it took a while, but now my mom and I are like so close and I'm glad. That's why I said to Bubba, I'm like, you could do more for me on the other side than you can do for me here. I said, you're not, even if she is still kind of protecting me or whatever, she may be leaving with the dragons because she's definitely has dragon energy. So maybe she's going to hang on until we go into the year of the snake. But I said to her, I'm like, I wouldn't be surprised if she had some weird turnaround either, because there were times in her life where Bubba looked like a snake. I was like, she would do these things with her eyes where I'm like, dude, you're like a snake. She would look like an owl. She would like shapeshift all the time. So I don't know. I have no idea. So anyway, so on the other opposite of that, so we've got stillness, stagnation, solidarity, unchangingness, fidelity, ego, individuality, frozen, difficulty, challenge, and obstacle. So it could be that, you know, this is what's happening. That's why we got the 3. And I think it's interesting that when I added it up, that today was a 3-day, because it's like we have the 3 runes. That's really interesting. Was that today? I'm pretty sure it was. Right? So 6 and, no. What day did I say was a 3-day? Oh, no, I think that was the full moon. Let me see. So today is the 6th, but January is the 1st, and the year is 9. So 9 and 1 is 10. So it's a 7-day. Ooh, that makes sense too, because we go in cycles of 7. That's very interesting. Okay, so that's pretty much what I have for you guys. So work with this information, you know, apply it into your story, and then obviously you'll know when the pick a reading comes out, but it will be based on these 3 runes. And then I'm going to take pictures of these other ones, which I'm going to just kind of do one more little thing with these today. Actually, you know what I'm going to do is I'm going to put them, so I'm taking the runes and just kind of putting them like there, like, you see that? And then I'm going to drop these, and I'm going to see if any, I'm going to pull them apart, so far apart, and I'm going to drop these and see which ones they go towards, whether they go left, right, or middle. And we'll kind of see where they go. I'm doing it kind of gently, and it's landing on my couch, so. Okay. Oh, wow. Okay. Interesting. So I'm going to take this, like, anything that is here is going there, and these are going there, and I feel like these are okay. Now some of these, the U, let me see if I can, let me go to her. I'll tell you what it is in a second. I know this is getting long, it's almost 2 hours, but I'm going to go to Vervain and the Roses and look at because some of these, like, it says you, but I want to get a little deeper into it. So under Sun, this is what I was feeling anyway. Under Sun, we got unknown, message, and you. Under Berkana, we got victory, harvest, fertility, torch, horse, and needs. So that's interesting. So under the Sun, illumination, all that, we got the message, the unknown, and the you. So that's interesting. And then under the Berkana, we have victory, harvest, horse, fertility, torch, and needs. And I think that's so interesting because Berkana is the one that's all about nourishment and taking care of ourselves. So it's all about fertility and bringing in the harvest and victory. So that's really cool. And then in the stillness, the stagnation, and all that, we have wealth, heritage, joy, destiny, and lake. You know what's so interesting about that is I was hoping the wealth would land in like the Berkana, but interesting that the wealth landed in the ice because they're trying to, I feel like they're trying to show us that. Do you know what I'm saying? Like it's iced out. We're like, our wealth, you know, I know a lot of you are like, you know, you send me like $5 or whatever, you're like, I wish it was more. And I'm like, dude, I get it. Like, I get it. I mean, Alder and I both, we both make a lot of money in what we do, and so when we're not working, it feels like a feast or famine kind of thing. But when we're not, I feel like these are the times that they really want us to go inward. I have food to get me until Wednesday, and I know that, like, you know, things will happen with Bubba, because I had the other day, he had enough money. That's why I said to him, I go either something's gonna happen and like a bunch of money is going to come in for us, or like work's going to come in for us or something, or I'm like, or she's done. And he's like, what do you mean? And I go, because he gave like the last bit of money we had to like get groceries and food for her and like pee pads and like all things that we needed to do. When he gave me, I was like, okay, this is what I have to work with. I actually had $8 left. And I said, because he said, I have nothing. I don't even have quarters anymore, like for laundry. He's like, I have nothing. And I was like, oh my gosh, you know. And so I was like, okay, all right. I'm like, well, we'll figure this out or whatever. So when they only had me buy so much food for Bubba, I was like, that's only going to get her a few more days. But I had $8 more. I could have got her at least 2 more days of food. 3, technically. You know, with tax and everything, I can get her like 3 more days of food. So I was like, that seems kind of odd. So either they just didn't want him to have no money at all, like so he had at least $8, if he needed gas or something to get to a job, or to work with a client or whatever, or she's leaving us. I don't know. I mean, even today when I was going in there and I was opening a can and I looked and I only saw 1 more can for tomorrow, I thought, all right, what's going on there? You know what I mean? So I don't know. And it's a very, really mysterious time right now with things that are happening on the planet. So just send us some good wishes, and and for those of you who cannot contribute, just send abundance prayers, because it does work. Every time you guys pray for me, that money comes in, so, or work comes in, or whatever. And I know I used to not take credit cards. I don't take credit cards. I mean, I could, but I don't. But I do take debit cards, like PayPal and Venmo. So I have my Venmo on here, and I do have a PayPal account, but I took it off. I don't know why, but they told me to take it off. But for those of you, you have my PayPal account. But if you don't have Venmo and you're out of the country and you would like a link to my PayPal account, email me at magicalmedium@gmail.com, and I'll send it to you. But yeah, so it was just kind of like bizarre how things have been going. So, and every time it's like rough, I always say, thank you, Spirit. Like, I believe, you know what I mean? Like, I'm like, I believe in magic and miracles. I do. So I do believe in magic and miracles. So that either means that we're going to have money and they'll be able to buy her food, tomorrow, or it's going to be that she's leaving us. And I'm not sure which it is right now, which is, a little sad. But also, yeah. So let's find out. I want to find out what this one means. Hold on. Okay, so the U is Iwaz, and it says bow, or bow, as a bow and arrow, not bow. Ascension, transcendence, trunk of the world, tree, vertical, travel between worlds, astral travel, higher consciousness, underworld, higher planes, and Sagittarius vibes. So that's for the Sawulu, the sun. And then message and the unknown. So that's going to be a really cool reading. I'm excited to see what happens with that. And then we have in the Berkana, we had victory, harvest, horse, and torch and needs. I want to see if I can find this one. Because I don't know when they say torch, I mean, I'm not sure exactly what they're... I want to see what the front of it looks like. Okay. Is this it? No, that's not it. Hold on. Okay, so this one's not on this list that I can find anyway, so I'll have to look it up. But anyway, so that'll go with that reading. That'll be fun. That'll be looking for something, or that'll be something fun to look forward to. And then, like we said, for the ice, we've got wealth, heritage, joy, destiny, and lake. And interesting that in these, wait, where'd it go? Hold on, I just clicked it. That in the stillness, rest, reflection, endurance, calm, peace, discipline, meditate, listen, silence, wait, patience, and serenity. So that's also a form of ice and of Isa in this one. So interesting that it's like they want us in the stillness and in rest of whether it's summer or winter, right? It's like to reflect on and have endurance, but calming peace and discipline, to meditate, listen, be quiet, be the observer. I posted something recently about being the observer, about waiting, patience, and serenity. So wintertime tends to be the time where we really like go inward and, work with, our higher self. And now that we're having this big change and transformation happening during winter, it's going to be really interesting. So, but destiny, joy, heritage, and wealth are all in that. So I feel like when we're done, I feel like they're trying to say, like, when we get to the end of winter or the end of summer for our Southern Hemisphere family, and they go into winter and we go into summer, like maybe by the end of that, like we'll start to like understand like more and more like why this is. Because when I pulled these were like our messages for the year for 2025. So we'll go more into detail with it when we do the pick a reading for each one, but I just wanted to give you kind of like a prequel or things to work with, or just to give you some like, ooh, interesting, or some aha moments. And that's why I'm going to take pictures of them too, so I can put them away and then take them back out when we work with them again. So anyway, so those are our messages for our group reading today. And just to not lose faith or hope, and to just hang in there, man. Just hang in there. Like I said to her, I mean, I'm like, it's not like I'm a monster where I'm like, oh, if she's not the way I want her to be, I want her to die. It's like, no, I mean, when you're watching somebody suffer, it's like, she's not having a good quality of life. I'm not having a good quality of life. If we're not having a good quality of life, then it's not healthy. So if you're in a relationship or in a home or a job or in a place where it's not a good quality of life and it doesn't feel healthy, then you should not be there. Even now, it's like, I could be angry at Alder for not being stronger, for not, being present, for I need his divine masculine right now. But it's like, he's not. He's in the shadow he's battling things that I can't see right now, especially when I bring things up and he's like, oh no, I'm fine. I'm like, that is more intimidating to why I'm like, I don't know if he's coming back, because I mean, if someone really thinks they're okay and they're not okay, and if I like could bring him outside of himself to show him himself. Oh, the sun's coming out. Speaking of the sun, but there's only so much you can do. If people aren't willing, really, what's that old saying? Like, if people aren't willing to meet you where you are, hi Ra, if they're not willing to meet you where you are, then there's nothing you can do. There's nothing you can do. But just pray for them, wait for them. So right now I just have to love him unconditionally, love her unconditionally, love myself unconditionally, and do my best to stay strong and stay positive. But have the days where I'm going to fucking cry and I'm going to say things I don't mean and I'm going to, whatever. But then you know what? Then I'm like, I'm so sorry, everybody. And then we do. And we ask for forgiveness. And because we're not fucking perfect, we're not supposed to be. So don't go into this year, a lot of times people go in, they're like, this year I'm going to blah, 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 and I'm going to do this. And it's like, sure, that's awesome. Of course I want people to like have that, of course. Sorry to be so giving you seasick there. But also there's like the reality of it. And the reality is that it's a shit show on the planet right now. And as empaths and sensitives, we can only hold so much space. We only do so much, at a time. So if we're being tested and every corner, that is not an easy day. That is not an easy time. So just know you're not alone. And I'm going to leave that here. Is there anything else, Spirit? Is there anything else? Do we have anything else you'd like me to say, talk about, show, anything else? Nope. It'll be in the community section. Look out for that pick a reading. Make sure to like, subscribe, share, and thank you. I know you guys do share. Thank you, thank you, thank you. When I got my report for the year, it was between both my channels, I could not believe how much you guys have shared. And I don't know if it's just one person or a few people, but thank you, thank you, thank you. Because the more you share, the more we grow. And the more we grow, the more like I don't have to, because the truth is, I could deal with this with her a lot easier if I wasn't dealing with all this other stuff here. Just like I said to him, I'm like, if I had known that you weren't coming back, I'm like, I would not be in here dealing with this and with her and him and myself. It's just too much. It's just too much. It's overwhelming. It's too much for anybody. I'm like, I know I'm a superhero, but fuck, And then the toads started and the frogs started croaking and stuff, and I was like, I know. It's like the birds are coming in and spirits like, just have faith. So when you're having a really rough time, like even when I'm crying, I'm like, I believe in magic and miracles, I mean, I say what I have to say first, but then I apologize, and then I get it done, and then but just work through it right now. It may feel like Groundhog Day for a minute until you finally break through, break on through to the other side. But anyway, also just another reminder, if you would like to do a session with me, if you would like to talk to somebody who's crossed over, I want to do a true mediumship reading to help you have some type of closure, or maybe you need some guidance, but I'm not going to be using any tools like runes or cards, or it's going to be straight up medium. and I'll record it. And what I was thinking, what we'll do to keep your anonymity is, if you would like to do it but you don't want to have your name in there, or you don't want your face, we will do it on a podcast format so people can listen to it, and then you can either, nobody's gonna probably know your voice, you know what I mean? Unless you don't care or whatever. So we can put your name. Like for myself, I would just put like Lula, or, or you could just put your initials, however you want to do it. But what would happen is, then we would talk on the phone. I would put you on speaker and I'll record it on my laptop. And then I will upload it to the Magical Medium. And then you guys can watch it too, because it is fun. I do like watching Tyler Henry. It is interesting to watch the people have the aha moment and the breakthrough. And I think right now, a lot of people don't know what to believe. And there's so much fakery and fuckery out there that I feel like true mediums like myself and Tyler, we need to be out there. We need to be out there so that people can see that it is real, because there's so much bullshit and there's so much, you know what I mean? So, but yeah, so I'm excited. So hit me up, just don't hit me because it really hurt. But hit me up and send me a message, especially for those of you, even if you've been with me a long time, that's cool. That's okay. And if you want to donate, that is absolutely up to you, but it is not required, and I'm not expecting it. Like I said, it's going to be for the channel so that we can continue to get it to grow. So, if they're going to put commercials out there and people are going to watch my content, why shouldn't I get a cut of it, And then that way, once I get to a certain point, I can decide what the commercials are. I can have them be, for good products and good companies. And I've been approached for years. But it's always somebody recently approached me about something for Bubba, and I'm like, where the fuck were you a year ago when I started her channel? You know what I mean? And because it was a really good product, and I was like, man, that sucks, because now she's at the point where it's it's for this really cool stainless steel litter box, and it's supposed to be really healthy and organic. It's supposed to be more natural and smells and all this. And I was like, man, where the fuck were you when I'm I could barely get her to go on a pee pad, let alone a brand new litter box. That's not gonna happen. But thank you for listening. Thank you for being a part of the tribe. I am in such deep gratitude for you guys. Happy New Year. Blessed New Year. May our 2025 be the best year yet. And it may be we may have a few tumbles and a few scrapes and a few things may happen. But this was from my own doing. You know what I mean? I can't blame this on anybody but myself. This was me, just so tired and just had enough. And you get peed on enough. You get enough stuff happen. And you're just, especially when she's looking right at me and doing it, I'm like, oh my God. When all she has to do is literally go down a foot and or maybe 2 feet, jump down and use the pee pads. And I've been doing that. Spirit had me do that because she needs to keep her strength. If I just make it easy for her, you know what I mean? she needs to at least keep some strength about her so she can, that's why I said, I'm like, if you can't even do that, then you're not really alive, then you're just, anyway. Bubba, do you want to say goodbye? I don't know. I never know when it's going to be her last time. Hey, do you want to say goodbye to everybody? Just in case? Meow. Oh, mama. Oh, Chi-Chi. Chi-Chi. When we're like this, all is well. But you can see, she has no sign of a mane. She has lost so much weight. She can barely chew. But she's over 14 years old. See, yeah? See, I'm a trooper. She's got her little heater there, and she's got her buddies. She's got all of her buddies around her. So I don't know if we'll see you again, Bubba, but just in case, we'll say bye-bye. We love you, Bubba. I was about to turn it off, and she wanted to look at you guys. Are you going to be here for the picker reading? I don't know when it's going to be. All right, I'll leave her be. All right, you guys. I'll see you next time. And until next time, take good care of yourselves and each other. I love you so much. Blessed be. Oh.